all, Tom Moran here from Tom's Big Spiders. This episode, we're going to give a little update on one of my Theraphosa apophysis or apophysis, the pink-footed Goliath bird eater. I have two of these, and I have one that I have to rehouse into a new enclosure, so I figured it'd be a good time to kind of touch base and see how these guys are doing. Stay tuned at the end of the video because I will give a look at the other one, which I think I just did a rehousing video on only about 6 months or so ago. That one just molted and is rather large now, but this is an awesome species, one that was on my wish list for quite some time. I was trying to get all three Theraphosa species. Obviously, this one's cousin, the Theraphosa blondie and Theraphosa sturmei, both well known in the hobby and very, very big spiders. And this one's very, very big as well. So enough talking. Let's take a look at my Theraphosa apophysis, or the pink-toe Goliath bird eater. All right, so we're about to rehouse my Theraphosa apophysis or apophysis or Pinkfoot Goliath bird eater. I think the last time I did this video, I called it a Pinkfoot baboon, but we have the cover shut on this one because these guys have been very, very skittish. I'm going to try to just crack the cover open for a minute. You can see the hair on the back of her butt, the urticating bristles that she has freely kicked off quite a bit lately. I wouldn't get too close because you'll get a handful of them. I have gloves on, long sleeves. Billy does not have gloves on. But anyway, this one here is probably about 6 inches or so. We're gonna back off this so we can look at the container. I have another one that just molted. The molt was over 7 inches, so I'm guessing she's probably pushing 8. She will be getting her rehousing fairly soon, but I had already rehoused her into something a little bit larger. This here is what we're putting this one into. This is one of the barbarous/reptile growth, because we found out they sell them under both names. Although the packaging always says barbarous growth, which they will always be barbarous growth to me because I love that. They have been sold under reptile growth. I want to thank the people that reached out to let me know they did have a larger size. And what I found is that if you buy them under the name reptile growth, they're a lot less expensive. So this one here was around $75, which again is pricey. And for the person who's going to come on and say, build your own for cheap, I've heard it before, go somewhere else. It gets old. I know some people don't want to spend that money. Perfectly okay. I'm not telling you to. But for people that do, these are kind of nice. So this here is the 10-gallon model. It's 19¼ inches long by 9 and I think 9.5 deep this way and about 10.5 high. And what I really like about them is because the bottom is one solid piece, you can put a lot of dirt in there. So for this one here, I'm going to want it and going to expect it to do a little bit of digging, create a little burrow in here for itself. And considering this is a moisture dependent species, meaning they need some of that moist substrate down here, this will keep a deeper substrate, will allow me to keep the moisture levels here from evaporating too quickly, because this one does have quite a bit of ventilation up top. I'm just going to pull this up here. You can see the top here. This is not wire mesh. This is actually, I don't know, is it punched steel or something? It's basically they punched holes in it. So it shouldn't have the same problem as wire mesh. With what happened is because of the way the wire crisscrosses, that leaves those little spots where their toe claws can get caught. But big top hatch opens up here. Then if you look on the sides, we have ventilation here, and as you can guess, the other side, and then of course the little feeding hatch. And I've done a few rehousings of these. Oh gosh, probably 6 now using these things. And again, people are like, it sounds like an infomercial. It's not so much an infomercial. It's just when you find a new enclosure that you really like, you want to kind of spread the word. Now, as far as these guys, when I picked up my two, it was, I believe, in June of 2020 or so, and they were about 1.25 inches each. I'll go ahead and lift this up a little bit, but just be careful. 1.25 inches each. And I ended up putting them into the mDesign kitchen and pantry storage containers. They're about 6.5 inches by 5 inches by 4 inches, or 16.5 by 13 by 10 centimeters. So I use those for the larger slings, and obviously Theraphosa slings would qualify as larger slings. And then the second container we put it into is the one that it's in now. Now this one here, the poor Billy, as she's getting close-ups of the spider, is going to have to back up. This one here is one of the mDesign Stackable Closet Plastic Storage Bins. I get them on Amazon. It's almost 13 inches, 2.75 inches by 7.25 inches by, I believe, 7 inches tall, or vice versa, right around 7 by 7 by 13, or 16.5 by 13 by 10 centimeters for those folks that don't use that system. And love these things. Easily ventilated. When she was in this one, I probably put her in, she was about 3 or 4 inches or so. She's now obviously 6. Her next molt is probably going to bring at least 7, maybe even larger. So it's time to put her in something bigger. So now comes the fun part where we're going to get her from point A to point B. Again, very skittish spiders. I got a funny feeling as soon as I put this cup over, she's going to flip for a minute and then hopefully settle down. I really wish she wasn't quite so close to the water dish, but boom. All right, I'm going to get the water dish out of the way. And then what we're going to try to do, I'm going to get this out of the way. Oh, I just vacuumed off the table somewhat. I'm going to try to slip this cardboard underneath here, which is going to be difficult because I didn't always check to make sure your cardboard actually fits in the enclosure beforehand. Little tip, I did not. And there she goes kicking. Man. Yeah, it's going to be a mess. No, watch your feet, watch your feet, watch your feet. There you go. Ooh. All right. So there she is. I don't know how we'll have to get a measurement on this. She just stretched out and she was not completely stretched out and went from here to here. So I think he's like 5.5. So I'm guessing right around the 6-inch mark. But what we're going to do is stick her in this new one here. And I got a funny feeling she's probably going to retreat to burrow A or burrow B, which I will talk about in a moment. First, I'm going to get this out of here because I don't want that on. It's unsightly. And then we'll talk about the setup in here, which I probably should have done before I got her in here. No. No. All right. I want you to go down into that. There you go. There you go. Oh, no. I want you in one of the burrows. I don't want you out and about. In one of the burrows, not out and about. I don't think she's listening. Look at the hairs on her booty. Okay, so hold on 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and put the top on before she makes her great escape. We'll just set that on here just like that so I can maneuver a bit. So as you can see, that's a good size enclosure for her. Now I want to point out a couple things with the setup. Now obviously if you back up a little bit, what we have here is I'm still using the BioDude substrate. Sometimes I mix my own, sometimes I like the BioDude. If it's going to be something they're going to be in for quite a while, I don't mind spending the extra money for the BioDude stuff. And what we have here is I measured about 5 inches of substrate this way, about 4 inches of substrate here, dips down to about 3.5 or so. And then what we have up top in here, if you notice, I've been putting in multiple burrows or multiple hides for my tarantulas lately. I know cork bark's expensive. I know it's tough to use 2 pieces, knowing that one of them probably won't actually get used. But I like giving them a choice of where to go. So we have a spot here. There's a starter burrow under that one where she's currently right now. There's a piece of cork bark there and a starter burrow under that as well. So you can see right in there. My finger's not anywhere near the spider, just in case people are worried. And then what I did is kind of built up the substrate around here. It's moist on the bottom. I put some drier stuff up top that'll encourage her to go and burrow. Then we have, I believe it's, what is it? Galapagos green sphagnum moss. Everybody's been asking about this stuff. It's supposedly not dyed. It's this color. It's beautiful. It works great, holds moisture well. Then we have leaf litter just for the looks of it. So what I'm hoping is she will take one of these burrows and use it for her home. The other one, again, probably won't get used, but I have had ones I've noticed that start in one burrow and then move on into the other one. And then, of course, there is a water dish in here because we give everybody a water dish. I give her a smaller one, but you could definitely give them larger water dishes, especially for the moisture-dependent species. And I may go ahead and put a second water dish in over here because obviously with this really good ventilation, got the fully ventilated top, ventilated sides, I got to spend extra care to make sure that it doesn't completely evaporate and dry up. And that's the trick with the moisture-dependent species. I do not try to keep the top sopping wet or moist. What I try to do is pour water down so it goes down in the corners, and I keep those lower levels moist. And a little trick, A, you don't want it to dry out because it's bad for a spider. B, you don't want it to dry out because if the substrate dries out completely, I've noticed it's much more difficult when you pour the water in to get it to go down and absorb into those lower levels. What will end up happening is it kind of shrinks up. You pour it down, it goes around the sides, it kind of puddles up on the top. It doesn't really absorb in the way you'd like it. So this one here, hopefully it looks like she's getting probably close. I'll open this up so you can get a shot of her. Probably close to a pre-molt. She just ate recently, but she's looking a little bit chubby, and you can see the butt there where the hairs have been kicked off. But I know a lot of folks come on, and we've had this, it's kind of like a running joke that everybody comes on and says they're just big brown spiders. You have to keep them to understand they're anything but big brown spiders. When they're babies, you can almost see the reddishness to them, the pinkishness, which you have the Goliath Pinkfoot bird eater because of those pink feet. You can see that if you go right up there, I think the top foot still got a little bit of pink on it. They have those 4 pink feet when they're smaller. And then as they get older, even though they're kind of a brownish color, they still tend to have that pinkish hue to them, which really makes them attractive. So as far as temperatures are concerned, because I know there's a lot out there about the Theraphosa species that they need higher temperatures. I have not found that. I've raised all 3 species up, and I've found that these are kept in the wintertime around 72, 73 degrees or so, with an occasional dip to the high 60s. And then the summertime, obviously a little bit higher up here, with it being 79, 80, sometimes 84 degrees. And they continue to eat right through winter, spring, summer, fall, no issues there. And then the moisture levels, obviously, do not let these guys out. Make sure they have access to water. I do think it becomes more imperative that they have that moist environment and the access to water as they get older and bigger, because that's when you're going to have problems with molts. That's when a lot of times you see people that have ones that are 8, 9 inches and they have a molting issue. I do think sometimes that's because they don't have enough moisture. So there we go. Theraphosa, apophysis, the pink toe Goliath bird eater. Love these guys. This one was on my wish list for quite some time. I'm happy to have 2 of them. I'm thinking they're both female, but they tend to shred their molts every time I go to sex them. So we'll hold out and see how it goes. I will say one is growing much more quickly than the other one, which would lead me to believe that maybe one's female, one's male. We'll have to see. But the males are spectacular. And as far as largest spiders in the world are concerned, although obviously the Theraphosa blondie is given the heaviest bodied one, and the Heteropoda maxima has the largest leg span at 12 inches, I have heard that the males of the species, there was a male that got 12, almost 13 inches. So that's a big, big animal. So we'll have to see. If I get a 12-inch one, that would be absolutely amazing, but I doubt that'll happen. I'm guessing around 10. We'll see how it goes. So there we go. Theraphosa, apophysis, the Pinkfoot Goliath bird eater. All right, so as of yet, she has not chosen either of the 2 burrows, but just to explain a little bit further, I have been trying in all my setups lately to give the tarantulas an alternative where they're going to set up their home base, where they're going to create their burrows, and I find they tend to settle down a little more quickly if they have more than one choice of where to go. So I'm sure once the lights go down tonight, this one will pick one of the burrows and do a little digging and create a nice, comfortable home for itself. As for the other one, I'm going to show some images of this one here. This one just molted. The molt was around 7 1/4, 7.5 inches or so. So I'm guessing this one is now probably 8, maybe even 8.5. I don't know. I don't like to exaggerate on them. But as you can see, compared to the Theraphosa blondie or the Theraphosa sturmii, the Theraphosa apophysis are much more gangly and lithe. So you can see those legs are thinner, body's not quite as hefty. I have a picture here of my Theraphosa blondie, one of my females, that you can see is absolutely massive. Look at the size of that butt, about the size of a plum. So awesome spiders, very big. And again, not just big brown spiders. They're gorgeous animals. And I know those of you out there that keep them can attest to that. So that will do it for this one. As always, if you'd like to enough to subscribe, very much appreciate it. A little circle up in here. I will put the other 2 apophysis videos over here for folks who are looking for care. As always, take the time to comment. I will take the time to respond. Just may take me a couple days because I tend to get a lot of comments and I tend to get busy. That'll do it for this one, guys. As always, stay safe. Catch you all next time.